Hi, Eric. Sorry I'm late.
No worries. Hello.
How are things?
They are good. We had unseasonably warm weather like a few days ago. I think we got the same weather that you had in Wales about 2 days later. But now it's back to being cool and cloudy again. So typical Swedish summer weather.
Nice. Yeah, I'm in Spain at the moment and it's really warm.
Ooh, nice. Any particular region of Spain?
Costa Blanca, Alicante, so in the south coast.
Ah, the warmest end, I guess.
Yeah, it's about 32 degrees, but it feels like much more. And when I arrived here on Sunday, it was about 40.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, it says feels like 37. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's a bit too much for my taste.
see here. Hello, Cara.
Hi, where are you right now, Andrea?
I'm in Spain.
Oh, nice.
Alicante. Yeah. It's quite warm.
Do you have air conditioning?
Yeah. Here in
Okay.
the room, at least we have air conditioning. In the hotel room. So I'm here for a music workshop for our son, and he's going to all the activities and so. But
Nice.
they don't have air conditioning in many rooms in the auditorium, so they're really it's quite hot for them. But here
Yeah.
in the hotel room is nice. Is it very hot where you are, Cara?
Yeah,
Right
it
now,
is.
or?
I'm in the mid-Atlantic US. It's very hot, but we have air conditioning, so it's okay. Although actually I really like the heat, so I'll often turn it off in the rooms I'm in, using the vents and kind of crack a window sometimes.
Nice. Okay. So it's 5 past. Shall we get started? As usual, feel free to add to the participant list. So I only had a couple of things for today. I wanted to review a little bit the events that we're going to use for the metrics POC. That is the topic of our talk with Eric at the Open Source Summit in September. And based on the discussion last week, we discussed a lot. We talked a lot about build events, and Matthias suggested maybe we don't need to use build events for this POC. We can just narrow it down to just use artifact events. Yeah, just basically to summarize, we would need to have a change event for every time there is a change merged. We have not a model at the moment for those events, so I would make a PR to add it. Probably I was thinking including the SHA of the last commit and possibly a list of all the SHAs. And this information we need so that we can calculate. We can know basically when a certain commit SHA was merged.
When you list of all, so it will be a list of all SHAs that were merged at the same operation. Yeah, I was thinking somehow that this would be like the list of SHAs since the last release, but that has nothing to do with this. This is just all the commits that were merged.
Yes, just to account for the case of PRs or merge requests or so, where you may have more than one commit.
Yeah.
And then,
that makes sense.
okay. And then I would extend the artifact event to include the repository, the source repository. For now, make the assumption that there is at least one main repository associated to an artifact. And so I have like source repository and the last SHA for that artifact. Yeah, and that would basically allow us to link the change event, which include the SHA and the source repo to the artifact. I mean,
so you mentioned there making an assumption that there is only one main repository. I'm wondering if is it particularly more or substantially more sort of expensive to just treat that as a list to start with, to say that an artifact can be built on sources from many repositories. So it would be multiple repos, but only one SHA per repo, if you get my point.
Yeah, well, I guess we could do it as a list from the start. Yeah, I think it's fine. I'm thinking that should be fine. It adds a bit more complexity if one wants to like filter events for artifacts associated with a certain repository.
That's true. And so there will definitely be some artifacts that are built from multiple repositories. The vast majority of them, I think, will be built from only one repository. But still, just saying that we don't allow artifacts to be built, or we don't allow sending events that claim that artifacts were built from more than one repository seems a bit limiting. But I wouldn't say I have a strong opinion on it.
Would it make sense, since we will have a large number of artifacts that will be associated with one repository, to have two fields, like have a repo field and the repos fields? But it may be making it more confusing on the receiving side.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of these like balancing questions somehow. Making it easy for the majority of the cases is good. Making it possible for the more advanced cases is also good. But then the balancing question becomes, do we just use the more advanced case to cover everything? And I think if we do that too much, then it may end up being very tricky for sort of the normal case. But I don't have enough experience to say which is right there, or if it's a case by case basis or whatever is the way forward. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. It's a difficult balancing act. I mean, we could also make the assumption that we have a single repo, and then if we have things that are built from multiple repos, we call them like composition, and then they would be composed of multiple artifacts. But they are artifacts, so yeah. Well, let's try. I would say let's try to use a list as you suggested, and if we run into issues, then during the implementation we can decide to switch back to a single one at the beginning.
Good.
Okay, I hope the notes are more or less okay.
Yes.
All right, I'll make a proposal for this then. And the third type of events would be kind of incident events. So incident started and incident resolved. And there could be other events associated to it, like an incident could be solved in many ways, doing a rollback or just by some external dependency that was fixed. So these events could be sent manually, it could be sent by some platform, but I think these are the main events. And I was thinking for this to propose a new stage, so start a new stage in the list of stages outside of the 4 that we have now. Also because I think we had this question many times whether this is the scope, what we have now is the scope of CDEvents or not, or we consider more. And I think it would be good to have a 5th stage in there where we clearly say that we want to cover events from after the deployment. So to make it clear that it's in scope for CDEvents. And then depending on how it goes with Captain, if we decide to take some of the events from Captain or not, but at least we have a starting point in there, and we can again propose just very simple 2 events, incident created, incident resolved, with some information about the environment. We already have the environment subject about the version deployed and things like that. And that should be enough to have the 4 DORA metrics, I think.
Yeah. I guess, but we can add that later. It would probably be good with an incident updated event as well, if anyone wants to add more information to the incident.
Yeah, that's one that we definitely will have. Yeah, I can add that one in the beginning. That's a good point. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll try to work on this week. So we have all the required events, at least in PRs, until the next meeting. And yeah, hopefully we can start building a POC with those.
Yeah, please feel free to ping me whenever you have a PR that needs to be looked at. I don't always catch, or I get a stronger warning from Slack if there's a direct message than I get from a post in the CDEvents channel. So if you feel that I'm not responding, just ping me as a direct message.
Cool. Thanks, Victor. All right. Anything else? That's all I had for the POC for now.
I think based on our previous presentation, these would be the events that we need to actually produce these metrics. So I think that looks really nice.
Good. All right. The only other thing I have for today, I created a small PR about the binary mode. I just wanted to present it quickly, if that's okay. Yeah, first of all, I looked into the Cloud Events specification, the various bindings there for Kafka and QDD. I checked the Kafka and QDD for now, and I realized that the structure versus binary mode is not only specific to the HTTP Cloud Event binding, but it's common in all the binding. So they have this concept of structure versus binary there in different bindings, which is good. Because it means that if we say we use Cloud Events binary mode for the CD events binary mode, that doesn't mean that we are restricting to HTTP. We still can bind them on top of multiple different protocols. So I updated the text and the table there, removed the HTTP with any, and yeah, the update here is just the timestamp. I changed the minute from 31 to 32 just to show that the CD event timestamp, it does not necessarily match the cloud event timestamp. Yes, and for binary content mode, I made a description of how I imagine it might look like and made an example. So what I was thinking is basically looking at this. This is a structured mode. So we need to put the version and the ID in HTTP headers and the type as well. Sorry, not the type, the timestamp. But the source and the type, they are already in HTTP headers as cloud event ones. So we have the CE source and the CE type. So my proposal for the version ID and timestamp was to have like 3 new headers, which are called CDEvents, ID, CDEvents, timestamp, and CDEvents version, which would include content. And then for the subject, again, ID, subject ID is in the CE subject. The subject type can be implied by the event type because it's always in there. So the only thing that I think it's worth putting in the HTTP headers would be whatever we have in the content for the specific subject. And my proposal there was to have CDEvents, subject, and then task, CDEvent subject URL for those two. And then where we have something more than a field, so like a structure, like the pipeline run, to use the semicolon separated list that can be used in HTTP headers, like CDEvent subject pipeline run, then ID equals something, semicolon space source equals something else. And I think with this structure, we would have version ID, timestamp, subject tag, subject URL as HTTP headers, which can be all used for filtering, routing, and like more inner type of fields then could have this more composite format. And yeah, sorry, the rendering is not ideal. I'm not sure which.
One question there. If at any point we need to have a third level, like pipeline run would contain something that is actually an object and not just a key value pair, then we would run into problems, I guess, or how would we solve that?
Yes, so we would run into problems, but at first, I think we could try to steer away from that unless it's really needed. We try to keep this not too complex.
Yeah.
The second thing is I was thinking for if we have very deep things, we could either base64 encode them and add them into one header, or have one string with serialized JSON in it. And the last thing we could say, we only support limited amount of information in this format. I think these are the 3 options that I had in mind.
Yeah, I guess if we base 64 it, somehow we would need to tell the receiver that, or should we tell the receiver that, okay, now you actually get base 64 encoded data and not just a key value pairing.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure if you do that by like adding another suffix to the key, or I don't know how to do it, but we can come up with something. Would be neat. And if it's that deep, then I guess those you wouldn't use something that deep for routing the event anyway, I guess.
Yeah, that was the idea.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I have an unrelated question. Why the heck is it called binary mode? I know that it's not something that we came up with. It's called binary mode in the real world, so to say. I just don't understand why. There's nothing binary about it, in my opinion.
Yes, that's a good question. So my understanding of that was that basically in binary mode, you can have anything in the payload. So it can be, it's something that you don't know what it is. I mean, it's apart from the, I mean, you have a content type that tells you what it is, but it could be anything, including a binary. It could be anything and everything else you put into the headers. But yeah, I was also wondering about it. I can actually go back and ask the cloud event folks the reason for the naming, and then we can decide whether we want to use the same or not.
I mean, there are benefits, of course, because I just did a quick Google, and it seems like cloud events are the only ones that call this binary mode, or at least when I search for like HTTP binary mode, then cloud events is the first hit. So it may be something that they came up with something, or in some sense. I mean, it would be a way to send cloud events data if the content is binary mode, like, because then obviously you can't add JSON to it. But I'm still, yeah, I'm not convinced that binary mode is the best. We could just call it HTTP header mode or something like that. That would be a bit more clear as to what it actually is.
Okay, so I'm behind with notes. All right. I hope I kept everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks. That's all the feedback. Yeah, I will update the PR accordingly. And all right. Yeah, that's really all I had for today. Is anything else I'd like to bring up or discuss?
Not much from my side. There's been some progress on the Python SDK, but not really anything I can show right now. One thing, it's more of a general thing. So we now have 2 CDEvents meetings, one Wednesday lunch European time and one Tuesday afternoon European time. Since they are 1 week apart, I think it makes sense to sort of allow progress to happen between the meetings. So it's not like it's the same meeting for Europe and Asia and Europe and the Americas. But I'm wondering, We don't have that problem that much right now, but when we start having more people who can only attend one of those meetings, we probably need to have some way of allowing progress to be made, or not, both allowing progress to be made, but also not having people feeling left out because they could only attend one of the meetings.
Okay.
Maybe something like if there are people in attendance who weren't part of the last meeting, we start with a recap of some sort, I don't know, or advise people to read up ahead of time on the meeting notes and come with input. Some kind of solution for making sure that people don't feel left out if they can only attend one of the meetings.
Yeah.
We had a similar setup when I was working at Ericsson, but then we actually had both meetings on the same day. So it was just the exact same agenda, but for two different user groups. And that's not what we want here. I think it's good that they are on alternating weeks, because that helps us make more things happen.
Yeah, that was the idea. Try and keep the weekly cadence and keep things moving forward. Yeah, I think the recap in the beginning of the meeting sounds like a good idea to me. We could do a quick recap. I mean, we can also advise to read the notes and view the recording.
That was going to be my question. Are the recordings sort of out fast enough that people could watch the recording before the next meeting happens? I have no idea what the latency is for those.
Yeah. That's a good question, because they used to be in the root Zoom account, and Roxanne used to upload them. But now we have a CDEvents own Zoom account. So I don't know if Roxanne is still uploading them. I need to check. Yeah, it's a manual process though. So I mean, we just need to make sure that whoever takes care of that does it in time before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Possibly
I had a look at the YouTube channel now, and I can see the last meeting I can see from our group is the SIG events meeting on the 18th of July. So the CDEvents meeting from Wednesday is not uploaded yet.
Okay. I mean, one thing that I did for Tecton is to set up to use Zapier to set up some automation. So I could check if it's something we could do for CDEvents as well. For Tecton, what we do there, we just upload the recordings into a Google Drive. And we don't have like a project Google Drive, but there might be some automation to put it into YouTube directly or something. So I can.
Yeah, I guess for us, it's not critical that it ends up in YouTube. What is critical is that it ends up somewhere where people can watch it.
Yeah. Right, yeah, but we don't have another space where we could put it.
No, not as far as I know.
People can watch it. Yeah, we discussed this, I think, before. Yeah. I mean, for a weekly meeting, a single weekly meeting for the project, I think it's not too bad if we do it manually for now. But I'll check if there is any meaningful automation that we could do without too much effort.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, for this time, I don't know, maybe we can do a quick recap from last meeting. Just so last week we had some updates from the Python SDK. So first goal is one-to-one parity with Go SDK, and evolve from there. It's currently running in a fork, and it's actively under development, and hopefully getting into the main repo soon. The Spinnaker PSC was merged and updated. The website is now updated nightly from the spec repo. And here you get the link from the CDEvents presentation at the Open Source Summit from Eric and myself. There is a reformatting of the spec going on that I've been looking into. So there is one work in progress PR, which I've not advanced since last week. And I will make more PRs, but no changes to the data model. So hopefully these are easy to merge once. We had some discussion about build events, whether we need to have a commit SHA in the repo in there or not. With different opinions, but at the end, Matthias made a point whether we really need build events for this metrics POC, and the answer was probably not. And indeed, we don't necessarily need them, so we kind of park the discussion for now. And CDEvents content mode, we didn't really get to it. So I had some ideas in here, but we didn't really get to discuss it. Community repo, I plan to create a community repo for CDEvents over the summer at some point. And I also created a proposal for a visualization tool for CDEvents. So you get the link here. All right.
Where is the Java SDK? Is it available anywhere?
Yes, it's in the, it should be in the CDEvents org, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was looking the wrong repo. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, it's a bit confusing. The Golang SDK right now is on the SIG events, and we need to move it across. The Java is here, and the Python is in a fork. So we're very consistent right now.
Yes.
Okay. Work is ongoing. That's the key thing.
We are very consistent in using different organizations for every SDK.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. If there's nothing else, then enjoy the rest of your day. Nice to see you all, and yeah, see you in the next one. Next meeting.
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.